the fear of success and failure. That is what we are going to talk about today. I have a guest, my guest who I've had more than once, the amazing, the awesome, the voice, Madame Salome Basuta. Can you greet our people?
Hi, everybody. Solome Basuta here. I'm glad to be back for another dramatic conversation with Coach.
Let's see how dramatic it will be. Anyway, so we are talking about the fear of success and the fear of failure. This is a thing that is common to all of us. All of us have either on one extreme, we either fear success subconsciously, or we fear failure, or we have a balance of both. Now, the intention of this conversation is just to share our experience with this and to share how it showed up in our lives and to share how we've kind of worked or are continuing to work our way out of it. And we are hoping that from that, you will see yourself and you will also see how you can work your way out of the fear of success or the fear of failure and how it is holding you back. Now, to start, let us first start with general definitions. I'm going to read. I went to the dictionary. Dictionary. Success is defined as the accomplishment of an aim or a purpose. That is the English definition of success. And failure is defined as the lack of success. Failure is actually easier. So we're first getting that baseline. That's the English definition of success and failure. But now let us talk about how society defines success and how it defines failure. I'm going to just share what it is that I have compiled. Salome, you can chip in as I'm sharing. So I found that in society, we generally define success using things, position. We define it externally. Yeah. So success is usually defined as an education level. The person who has a PhD is more successful than the one who has a master's, is more successful than the one who has one degree, is more successful than the one who has a diploma, who is more successful than the one who has a certificate, who is more successful than the one who never ever saw a blackboard, or who saw a blackboard but was not able to continue, or as in failed to attain a certificate. So that is one. We define it using education. Now, again, that is something external. The second one is status. Let us even first talk about it. The status of, what do I call it? Coupling, called marriage, marital status. The person who is married is usually considered more successful than the one who is single. It doesn't matter what you attained. Married is more successful than single. Then we go to, in the marriage, children now. The person who has children in the marriage is more successful, as in the marriage that has children, is more successful than the marriage that has, call it failed. We even say they have failed to have a child. Yeah. So the marriage that hasn't had a child, whether it is through the failing to have a child or whether it's because you've decided that we do not want children, you're still considered as a failed couple. Yeah. So that's how we define success. Another one now you both have children. The ones who have managed to have sons are more successful than the ones who have failed to have a son. Yeah. They have failed to have an heir because somehow having the boys makes you more successful than the ones who have had the girls. Now, the other one is in, I think, economic status. This one I found very, very amusing as I thought about it. So society usually considers employment, having a job, as being successful. Yes. Having a job. But starting a business. Job. Corporate settled, as in we have the levels, a doctor, lawyer, accountant, engineer, and then corporate job, a job where you wear a suit and you have an office and you have a car and you wake up early and you look serious. You really look serious. However, having a business is only considered successful if you are super wealthy. Yeah, it's like you have to really, really attain some, I don't know what we even call it, success in the business, but it's like you have to really, really have a lot of money for people to begin to consider you successful. But still, it's like the job person is treated with more respect and more honor than you. So if you've started your business, you've just started, you first year, second year, third year, your family is still saying, but aren't there any jobs? You're trying to grow this. You're trying to grow this thing. Maybe even at the stage where you're earning the same amount of money in your business as you are earning, perhaps at someone at the same level as you, but they are still like, but isn't there a job? There are jobs. They're still sending you job ads. They're still telling you about openings here and there, because having a business is not considered as successful as having a job. It doesn't matter if the job is small, if the job you earn little, somehow society considers that as success. Now, those are my compilations. Do you have any to add?
Interestingly, when you are speaking about marriage, children, all that, in the African society, when someone dies, and I've had it a lot in my circles at home, and the first thing they ask, hey, okay, I can't say this in Luganda because it's going with, but
say it in Luganda.
Did they give Bazayako, did they get that thing, like, you didn't even give birth, you have failed. Even, and so it's so interesting, the things that we have, I think, labeled as success, and then we put pressure on us. I haven't attained, and even when you have one child is wrong. Like, even, like, I hear it so many in my circles, see, she only gave birth to one child. Why? It's like you have to, like, every level has it's like as if there's a standard. Thank you. Every level there's a standard of success. And it's like as if you really never attain. You never attain. So it's so interesting how we as kids, it's so interesting that it's drilled down, consciously and subconsciously. When you're growing up, you see it and then you're told about it. This is success. This is success. This is success. And that really just always kind of taints our future, taints the decisions we make. It taints so much. Then you reach 50, and then you say, oh gosh, I have failed that life. And yet never know you've really succeeded. Like, if you put everything down as if you have succeeded so much. But because of society, it says, no, you haven't succeeded, which is sad sometimes.
When you talk about the African society, now you're actually making me think about something. So in our culture, my personal culture, the Japs, the Jupadola, from the east of Uganda, if you die and you haven't given birth, you're buried as a child. You're not given the honor. You're buried as a child, because what usually happens is a man who has had a home, there are some days you're given days of mourning. A woman who's had kids, you're given days of mourning. And if you're a woman who's had kids, you're buried in a busuti. If you haven't given birth, you're buried as a child. And the second thing, when you're talking about when you have one child and they're like, what is this? My grandma had 3 children, and she was considered barren. because they were like, how can you have only 3 kids? I think we are better. We are much, much better right now. But you see, that is the mindset that we come from. For example, I personally have made a decision that I do not want to have children. And I have, my relatives are still scandalized. There are many who have approached me and asked questions and all that stuff. And after we have a discussion, they understand. But I keep getting new ones who are like, how can you not give birth to a child? At least one, like this, so that we see, as in, this one is Jennifer's. But I'm like, why? Why? Yeah. So I really understand that pressure. And because that is the way that we measure success, people end up harming themselves just having a child for society. The biggest one, I think, is marriage. Staying in an abusive, horrible, draining marriage because you cannot remove yourself from that status. Actually, the question
Yeah.
is, how will they see me?
Mm.
How I think it's best said in Uganda, but how will they see me that I am not married? As in, I'd rather be here, I'm being beaten, the person is stealing my stuff, they are calling me fool and everything, but at least I am successful in that area. So I think it's just
Because when you leave, then you fail.
yes. Oh my
Yes.
God,
Yeah.
then you failed.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
then you failed. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
You can. Wow.
Wait. Now you're reminding me of another friend of mine who lost her husband after 1 year of marriage. You remember her? A friend who
Yeah.
lost her husband after 1 year of marriage, and she was hiding herself from people because she considered her marriage a failure because it did not last.
Lapse.
It did
Yeah.
not last a long time. And I was like, oh my God, that person died. How can you now say you have failed? Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, so at times the reason why we are talking about all this is for us to begin to think about what are we thinking subconsciously about ourselves in this regard. What are we
Yeah.
tolerating? What are we allowing? How are we talking to ourselves about things like success and failure, especially regarding how society defines it? So I just would like us to
Yeah.
ask ourselves those questions. Yeah, before we continue now to discussing our actual fears, because Salome and I are on different sides of the spectrum. She was operating under a strong fear of failure. I was operating under a strong fear of success. Who wants to start? Me, you. Who wants
Well, me.
You start.
I can start since you began the other section. Let me begin this one.
Okay. So your fear of failure, tell us up, describe it. What was it? Where did it come from? How did it show up? How was it holding you back? Please, in detail.
Let's see how detailed. Like, also, I need to remember. I had to think. I hope I remember everything. Anyway, so this failure thing, after going through an awareness program, I found out it really began from an identity. It was so strong I thought of myself as a failure. And it began from the fact that when I was in high school, I repeated a class, senior three. Um, and then I struggled with my studies, especially in secondary school. I really struggled with my studies. I didn't do well. I was always sleeping in class. That was another health issue, problem issue, spiritual issue, whatever it was. Uh, so I repeated senior three, and then when I reached my senior six, I also, according to society, but also really I failed. It wasn't according to society. It was actually it had nothing to do with society. I got 5 points in senior six. You don't get 5 points.
Oh
Yeah,
my
you
God.
can't get one. Yeah. So
You
that's
can get 5 points in one subject.
I know, right? At least I got in English. Hello. At least my English wasn't too bad. So I got 5 points. And so I really didn't do well. I felt that bad. And so I didn't know that subconsciously it was a thing that I had taken on, that Solome forever will be failing. Solome forever, and not even failing like at studies, failing at anything. She cannot keep time. She has failed. Like failing at anything. It's like I took on that identity. I am a failure. And so it started coming up in just different ways. When I was, first of all, in not even the music scene when I started officially in 2015, but way before that, when like I would not fail at something, but not meet a standard, like maybe my workplace. I used to work at Bank of Uganda. Immediately my mind would say, you're a failure. You have failed. You're a failure. So there's a time when I was working at my corporate job at that time, my 9 to 5. I was working in a certain section and I was doing so well. I was user support. Of course, I was doing so well to the fact because I was engaging with people. I love people. So talk. And so as a certain point, also doing, user support IT. And so I was doing so well in that section. So one of the managers said, she's doing so well, so let's promote her to another section that deals with networking, because I did that as a diploma. So they put me in that section. And it really wasn't my section because I was just dealing with machines and servers, and like my whole system was like, we are bored. Where are the people? Why aren't we seeing people? So I started to not do well. And immediately my mindset went back to senior 3. You are failing. And when that mindset was there, and I didn't know that mindset was there. Now I'm saying it because I know it was there. I said failing at everything. It's like I dropped the ball at everything from that point. So I struggled in that section to a point where one of my supervisors used to sit with me. She ended up being like a counselor. They even took me to counseling in that job. What is happening? What is wrong? Is there something happening at home? Why aren't you meeting? Because you came from a section, you were high. Now you're absolutely below par. Then they took me to a whole other department. So that whole thing took me back to I'm a failure, because when I was in high school and secondary school, I was always in remedial classes. You know what I mean? Extra classes, coaching. So immediately the brain said, oh my God, we're back at this again. Again, I'm failing. So I just took it on, I'm a failure. Yeah, they took me to another department. I really was like just working, just, like how you just come to a job and get money at the end of the day of month. That's fine. So I wasn't inspired. So it started showing up in all those spaces. And then when I started my music career officially in 2015, wow. I didn't know it would show up here because, oh my God, I love music. Oh my God, I was born to do this. And so in terms of the creativity, yes, I'm creating great content, but then it started to show up in terms of like, oh, I'm not coming on time for things because I think, I'll fail at this. I'm forever going to be a failure. Oh my gosh, that's going to be me. And then I wouldn't take on anything challenging. The minute my manager, who is also looking at me, the minute my manager at that time would like push me or try to get me to do things that are a bit more challenging outside my comfort zone, immediately like it's like as if an alarm system would me say, no, we if we go in something challenging, we are going to fail, and we cannot feel failure again, because for me, I would feel failure as an emotion. It would be like failure, and so to not feel that anymore, let us not go into anything challenging. Let's go for the easy things. And so it started to show up like that, and so that kind of even limited my progress, in the things that I was doing. And so interestingly, that my mindset also expected failure. It's so interesting.
Wow.
I don't like, wow, it's amazing. Like I had an expectation, somewhere I will fail. Somewhere I will not be on time. Somewhere I will not meet the standard, or I will not get this project through, or I will fail. I will no. So that was me. And for me, it was not just a mindset. It was who I am. I decided that was who I was. I hope yeah. Yeah. And so that was one thing. I remember how I told you that because of repeating a class and whatever. So that's how also failure started coming up in the music thing. Like when my manager, so what would happen is I'll do a song, and then like a team of us would listen to the song and critique it and what. So each time someone would say, or if my manager would say, so Sonia, you have to do this again, I would feel so bad because it would mean I have repeated a class. I have failed. And so I'd drag my feet to execute it again. Or I would sulk. Okay, my sulking is inward. But my inward resistance is quite strong. Yeah, I will not do this. I will not do this. Or if I would do it, I'll do it slowly. So it was just stemming from that thing like, oh my God, we don't want to repeat something. we don't want to repeat something. And so I was always avoiding challenge, avoiding getting out of my comfort zone, avoiding new things, in case I fail, so that thing was always that, in case I fail, in case I fail. And so, yeah, yeah. And then interestingly, the other thing is I avoided the limelight, but that came a few years after I was in the industry. I started saying it like, I started to avoid things that would like put me in the light because I was thinking, what if people see my failure?
Oh my God.
What if they see it? Because in the entertainment industry, my mindset at that time was like, you can't show failure. You have to always show success. You always have to show that you're doing well. And so I was thinking, okay, so let me just do that bare minimum. I used to tell my vocal coach that for a while I always felt like as if I was not necessarily in the entertainment industry. I was like on the edge, just playing it safe. Like, let's just do the, mediocre, not even mediocre, but just the bare minimum. Like I could do better. Like I was a student who could do 1,000% in the entertainment industry, but I was choosing to do like 60%. That's, because I don't want to be in the limelight, because hence one of the things was I don't want them to see me failing. I don't want them to, almost it's like an imposter syndrome, like, oh my gosh, because they'll know that I repeated their class. They won't know I repeated their class. The mindset was like, they'll look at me, they'll look at me at that, like that student in S3 who repeated. And that's what I was trying to avoid. So I didn't put myself right smack in the middle of the light or of the big stuff in the entertainment industry. Yeah. So that is what was happening.
Wow. Every time you share this story, I learn something. Today I have learned, I have learned so much. I think it's interesting, before I go into my own fear of success, it's interesting how the thing that was showing up in what we thought was not our purpose. That when showing up in our job, when you decided to do the thing that you wanted to do, the thing that you loved, the thing that was your life's purpose, what you were born to do, it still showed up. With no respect, as in no respect at all, that this is now my purpose and the failure is just. Yeah.
That's so true. It doesn't divide that. Oh my God, corporate job. Okay. For it, it's like, wherever. Yeah.
I think, as you said, identity. Anyway, so now my fear of success. I got to understand this a little bit better last year as I was doing a lot of inner work. And I began to understand where many of my limiting beliefs had come from. Now, I had not really had an issue with success for most of my life. Most people think that beliefs usually come from when you're kids, when you're young. Most of mine came after I started the business world, when I got into the business world. That's the shocking thing. So my fear of success was on two fronts, was on money and was on visibility. Now, the way that it showed up in money is, in my mind, I thought, if I make a lot of money, I am going to be stressed by tax people. If I succeed. And I think this came from the first business that I did, how the way that URA really stressed us when we were just learning the business, sending us assessments and all that. I realized this is hard. So I began to think, if I actually put myself all out there, dream big and make a lot of money, the tax people are really going to stress me. That's number one. The second one was because of the country that we live in. I had seen how successful business people are usually not attacked, but it's like when you're visibly successful, it's like then the political leaders, I don't know, it's like they kind of begin to attach themselves onto you, demand things of you, and then you watch on TV how at times you have to get into funny deals. And I was like, do I really want to be involved in that? I don't want to be involved in that. So the way that it showed up for me is when I was having money dreams, I was dreaming small. Wow. I was limiting myself. Now, as I said, it started in business. When I had a job, I did not have to face the tax man because pay is automatically deducted. You don't even know. Even your net. You don't even know your gross.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I got into a place where it's like now you see the money that comes, and then you know that this has to get off. I was like, this is something I don't want to really get involved in. So the way that it mainly showed up for me was having small dreams regarding money. My dreams were small. Now, the second one was visibility. Because for me, success meant being seen by many people. Now, I worked with an artist who, as she said, is looking at me, who loves people and loves being seen. And just, when she sees people, she's happy, what, and all that stuff. And for me, visibility is a hindrance to my core value, which is peace. I love being in a place where I can sit incognito and observe people. That's one of my best moments, when it's like I'm almost invisible and I can sit and observe you. But the thing is, if you're visible, then you're known. Then you cannot observe. When you enter a place, everyone is like, as in everyone knows you. Now, the thing for me is I equated success to being seen by many people, being known by many people, being acknowledged, being recognized. And I felt like if I ever attained success, that would happen. And I would be so overwhelmed, I would choke and I would die. You're laughing, but that's what my brain thought. That's what my brain thought. Success is going to kill us. We are going to die. As in, it was just too much for me. So the way that it showed up is, in the end, I started preferring to work in the background, to not be known. I was very intentional about that, to not be known. It was like almost like I was hiding. I want to do the work. I want to support this person. I remember I told the artist who I was working with, if you ever become famous, we are going to meet in the parking lot. And then, as in, when you're going to, I will act like I do not know you, because I do not want to be associated to, as in, fanfare and all that stuff. Yeah, I actually told her that. But it's like it actually affected me by me just working in the background, almost hiding, because I had equated success to that. So that's how my fear of success showed up, in dreaming small, especially money dreams, and in hiding what I knew, hiding how good I was, hiding as I worked with this person. I think it even must have affected her, because then I wouldn't be very aggressive in things. Yeah. Because if you're going to manage an artist, you have to be out there, seen, show, all that kind of stuff. But I bet it actually affected her, because I wanted to work incognito. So that's how it showed up in my life. Any comment?
Never. I think anyone who is close to you, I think it's so interesting to see, like, I would never have thought you to fear success. My mind would not put you in that box. Maybe fear of other things, I don't know, but not success. It'd be like, but it's so interesting how, when you're speaking, it's like, what? Like, what? Like, really? That, like, I think that's so it's so interesting that that it showed up again when you started your purpose.
We are going to talk about that. We are going to talk
It's
about
so interesting that it showed up when you began that journey, and yet Bank of Uganda in your corporate job before, it was like, yeah, it's so interesting that does it.
Actually, that when I was looking back, I realized that it started after the corporate job, because I realized in the corporate job I did not mind being recognized for doing it.
Yes,
I did
and
not
you were
mind.
recognized.
But you see, the thing is, the recognition is not funds, and the recognition is not that big. I think it was actually getting into the music industry and beginning to see how big it could potentially be that just made me feel like this is too much. But in the corporate world, as I said, you do not interface with a tax man. The accounts department handles that for you. When you do good work, you're recognized by the director, the executive director, by people who know you, not people who don't know you and are going to just wrong you. And, I was like, no. So all of this started when I left the job and I was out in the world. I think.
Question though. I have a question for you. Do you, and it's just something that has dropped in my head. Do you feel, because also, maybe I may be backtracking, because the way we also view, and maybe this comes from a religious background, of like when we think success, when we think prosperity, it is wrong, which is so what. And so, do you feel like that also kind of was subconsciously there when you were thinking about success in terms of money and to be big and okay?
No, it wasn't. Okay. The money thing was from the experiences I had as soon as I got out. Oh, yeah, it was from that and from observing the politicians. Because as I said before, in the corporate world, I would negotiate my salaries like a boss. As in that, and I climbed up because I wasn't interfacing with anyone, the tax. People. Anyway, so let's now go to how we got out of this. We're going to start with you again. So Salome and failure. So how did you do the work to get out?
I think the first, I even wrote here, first step, anyway, so detailed. Anyway, that's a whole other video of how detailed I've become. I need to write it
by the way.
I know, right?
We don't notice.
People are employing me because I'm organized. Like people in meetings say, I like working with someone because she's organized. That is another video. That's a whole.
I think you need to be paying tithe.
To the pastor, to the deliverer.
The people who suffered to teach.
Under my reign of disorganization.
Yes.
Anyway, so the first thing was I did and that was at a time coach when she was kind of also beginning her journey and all that. At that time she said, but Salome, I feel like I need to do something with you. She would say, I need to do something with you. I need to do something with you. And so that time we just had a session with her. And so was speaking. I don't know where this came from. I've been trying to track how we reached on failure because I don't know what the full session was about. But we started to talk about failure and how, Esther repeated, so how it became an identity for me and how it has been limiting me. And so she starts to do this. Close your eyes, Solomon. As coach always does. So, close your eyes. And at that time, that exercise was, I hope I remember it well, was what are you saying? Because she was, at that time now learning, now that I've learned, that we keep our emotions in different parts of our body. And that's why there's even times I've seen it. I'm not a researcher like, coach, but just a few times people speak about when, cancer or people even who have been healed from cancer or they've prayed for them, whatever it is, sometimes it's pegged to an emotion, either anger or hate or, And so she taught me, she opened my eyes like, at Salome, we keep our emotions in different spaces. So that was a whole dramatic session. We shall not go into how that was, filled with tears and other things. But I think it was dramatic because it was like a realization. It's like when someone, I don't know, opens the curtain and you're like seeing light for the first time. It felt like that. And so that was the first step that we did that. And so for me, I don't know what I can say. To me, it was deliverance. If I can use that one, because literally after a few weeks, days later, when coach was checking in, she just said, so do you feel failure now? I said, no. Like, do you feel it anywhere in your body? Do you feel, even now that I'm talking, do I feel failure? No, I feel so successful. I can show you the things I've done. I'm not yet at the Grammys because I'm going to get a Grammy, but but I feel so successful.
No, before you continue, I think maybe I want to talk a little bit about that. You said it's deliverance, and for me, I think I actually believe it is a form of deliverance, because it's like, as I did my coaching certification and as I've studied more, you get to understand how the human mind processes unresolved emotions or unresolved trauma. The reason why every time failure happened, you would go back to S3. It is something that happened to you that was a trauma of sorts that you never ever resolved. So it's like it never ever went back and got settled as a memory, as a former thing that happened to you. So it was never ever integrated into your memory storage. It's like the box where you store memories. It remains somewhere, like I'm going to call it purgatory, but it remains somewhere between your conscious self and the memory. And every time any small thing happened, a small trigger took you back. It's like you were back in S3, you had failed, and you are going to repeat. Every time it's like you are replaying that. And it's like, in order for that to happen, the body has to find a place to store this unresolved emotion, this unresolved trauma, and everything. And it's like every time that it is triggered and you fail, it just keeps adding to that. It's like you develop a whole body of evidence. I call it that. It's like it keeps growing and growing, this failure thing. That's why it became like an identity. So the exercise that we did was for you to just find, first of all, face it, acknowledge it because it wasn't acknowledged in S3, and then to give it a voice because it needed to speak, but you had never given it a voice. And I think that was the main thing of giving the whole feeling of failure a voice. I remember one of the things that you said, which was, I think I myself almost broke down, because it's like you said what is failure had been saying to you internally. And one of the things was, it doesn't matter what you do, you will fail. And I was like, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. How can you live with that belief? I was like, mama, this is deep, this is serious. But I think it was an exercise that I did because I had learned and I was like, I need to really practice this on someone. And there's this person who has this issue. Let's see if this works. And the fact that we did this in 2019, 2020.
Yeah, 2019.
It was before COVID.
Around there, those two.
Yeah, it was, by the way, yeah. And it's been almost 5 years. And it was, because I remember, I think I recorded, it was, I think, less than 15 minutes of an exercise of just getting in touch with the emotion, giving it a voice, and then resolving it. And the girl was free. That's the miracles of transformational coaching. Yeah. Anyway, so anything else?
Yeah, so that was a first thing. And I think for me, when my mind now, it's like as if I have a new memory.
Wow.
It's like when I look back at my S3, I don't have that trauma or the thing. Oh my gosh, it's like, oh, it happened. Okay, yeah. It's like, oh, that was a moment. Now I see, like each time I drop a ball, I don't like even saying failure. Like when I drop a ball, or I'm not succeeding particularly in something, my first instinct is not fail. Oh my gosh. Because what used to happen is when I had the thing of failure, then I get paralyzed, then I don't move, then I don't move on anything. Then I stop everything. Then everything suffers. So it was like, but right now, it's like, oh, okay, I felt that this. Okay, Solomon, let's revisit this again and see, okay, so why did we feel at this? Maybe you didn't understand something. Maybe you needed help here. Like, it's not an identity thing, like, oh my gosh. So now it kind of helped me years later on getting better at the work I am doing and executing the things I need to do, because now I'm a bit faster in execution. Even when I drop balls or I fail here, like there's a sense of I keep moving. I'm no longer paralyzed. And yeah. And so for me, I think that really, really, really helped me.
Wow. Thankful for coaching.
Hello,
The internet is still unstable.
Jennifer.
This is 4G. This is 4G internet, y'all. Anyway, so the way that mine was resolved was one, the money beliefs that were holding me back, the fear of success monetarily. That happened when I started my journey as a coach, to become a coach, when I finally began to understand what limiting beliefs were. And then I addressed those beliefs and found a way, because I knew how to transform them. I knew what I needed to do to alter the belief. So that one was a very easy thing, actually. It's like just that you understand the belief, where it came from, how it's showing up, then what is a better belief. So that one I did. The money thing, that one was resolved very easily. The visibility one, that one was a little bit layered. So the first thing was invisibility in creating videos, because as a coach who does online work, because most of my work is online using Zoom, I needed to do a lot of promotion and marketing online. So I actually had to resolve this in order for me to record videos. At times you wonder why you fear to be visible. At times you wonder why you're not, as in you have all the plans to record the videos and you fear to record the video. There might be limiting beliefs and other things that are holding you back that actually need to be resolved. Now, for me, the way that I resolved it was dealing with my values and actually changing the order of them and having a conversation with myself to give myself permission to be seen and to know that it is safe to be seen, as in to be seen on video. That was number one. The second one was in a session that I had with a coach, I think it was in a program in 2022 or 2023? And that was when I was talking about how if I become successful, I will suffocate. Because before it was just as in people will see you and that's it. But as in people will see me, they will recognize me, they'll bombard me, I will die. And the coach did a thing. It's like you kind of play it back to the person so that they see how unrealistic that is. And he's like, you will die. And I was like, cousin, don't you think that you're making this a little bit too big? Because it's like you're making it this big. The problem is this, but you're making it this big. You're exaggerating the problem. And before he had told me that, it's like I hadn't noticed. The coach herself hadn't noticed that she was exaggerating this thing, that visibility was going to kill her. Yeah, that's why coaches need coaching. We all need coaching, but it's like it actually helped me to see, you know what? That you will not die. As in, really, you think you will die because people know you. Agawa lie. Do you think you, because I would actually get like a choking feeling. It's like I was suffocating, as in really suffocating at the thought of it. It's like when I would post stuff on Twitter and it kind of goes viral, my goodness, I'd be like, the notifications are just, it's too much. I am suffocating from these notifications. But you see, the thing is, I can't suffocate from them. So it was just for me to tell my mind, as in, let us be realistic, come back to the ground, stop floating, come back. So I needed someone else to show me that, Jennifer, you will not die. You will not die. And I think also when I realized that this wasn't something that I had been all my life, because I even went back to primary and the things that I achieved and the way that I was good at sports and I would excel at sports, and people would like, I would be doing things like long jump, high jump when people are watching, and I would still operate and jump and people would be like screaming. And I was like, I didn't mind it. I received it. Yeah, I realized this is something that you're actually deceiving yourself. You're telling yourself a lie. So that's where the freedom came, through doing belief work, for the money work, for the money beliefs, and just having someone else. Because even if you are coach, it's like even if you're a surgeon, you need someone to operate you. Even if you're a dentist, you need another dentist to deal with your teeth. So even if you're a life coach, transformation or breakthrough clarity, at times you cannot see your blind spot. It is there, but you just need someone else to shine light and tell you, no, Jennifer, you're not being realistic. So that's how I got free. So these days I do videos. It's okay. If you're going to recognize me, it is fine. I know I will not die. Your recognition, your likes, your retweets, your comments, They will not, they cannot, as in they can come and kill you, a beg. No. As in it cannot kill me. So that's,
Oh gosh.
yeah. So that's how I resolved it, the fear of success. And now I'm
Yeah.
actually dreaming big. When I look at the money goals that I'm setting and the way that I'm daring. Last, I think it was 2 weeks ago when I was watching some Korean dramas. I love Korean dramas. I love Korean dramas. And I saw a couple of people and I was like, I want to work with those people. I had myself saying, I would like to work with those people. They are major actors. And I was like, I would like to work with them soon, as in really, really soon. And I was like, I wouldn't think like this before. I wouldn't dare myself or push myself. The money goals that I'm setting right now, I set a money goal for this year. And even me, I was like, eh? What is this? But I'm like, yes, yes. And what I'm doing now is I am educating myself, renewing my mind, listening to teachings like of a gentleman called Miles Monroe, who just thought outside the box. I love the way he thought, just challenging myself, planning better, just seeing how is it that I can attain this. I'm no longer fearing the fact that there's a tax man and all that. I'm like, I'm ready to deal with all that. So it's like it's kind of freed me to be more of myself, to step more into my purpose and to dare, because I believe that we are all created to do great things in the arena. Your arena might be the world, your arena might be the country, your arena might be the town, your arena might be a family. But in that place, we are all created to do great things and to excel. So it behooves us to stretch and push boundaries and to not allow ourselves to be contained by beliefs and fears, past failures, and all that stuff. Yeah, so that has really, really helped me to free myself to be more of what I was created to be. Any questions before we continue? Yeah, look at it. Now, I want us to talk about how we have learned to define success differently. Now, we talked about how society defines success using those external things, the education, the status, the job, the money, and all that stuff. Now, I did a program with Solomon, was part of the program last year, but even as I was preparing for the program and even through coaching, I learned that we need to define success more intrinsically, more than using external things. We need to go a little bit inward when we're defining success and use things like our personal values, use things like the desired impact that we want to have, use things like both the process and the result. Now, just to expound on that, and Solomon will share what her experience has been about thinking about success in a whole different way, not just by doing and the results. So like, for example, when you're defining success, what I would ask is, what experiences make you feel successful? Because at times when you're looking at marriage as success, but the experiences that make you feel successful are not there, you will feel like you're failing. Because when you know what makes you feel successful, then you will make sure that you get involved with someone who awakens those things in you. And each of us have different personal values. So it really helps to understand what your personal value is, because that will help to guide you on the choices that you're making in life. So that's number one. When you're defining success, ask yourself, what experiences make me feel successful? Those are those things like joy, peace, intelligence, freedom, all those kind of experiences. And then you seek out the things, you seek out the people who help you to feel that. If joy is one of the things that makes you feel successful, but your spouse drains you of all joy, do you know how you're going to feel? You will feel like you're failing, as in no matter how shiny, you've been married for 30 years, but the joy is not there. So it really, really helps to understand what experiences, what personal values help you to feel like you're successful. Number two, the desired impact of anything. Whenever you're doing something, people like to say, I want this amount of money, but no, money is not really the thing that you're looking for. There's something else that you're looking for that money is offering you. For example, I want the freedom to work at any time, or I want the freedom to work from anywhere. or I want to transform the lives of people, or I want to help people to see themselves better. What is the desired impact of whatever it is that you're doing? Because at times when you decide that I'm going to do this, and then you understand that I'm doing this because the desired impact is that, then you can actually say, but this is not going to really help me get that. Maybe I need to approach it a different way. So it helps to define success using the desired impact. Now, when we actually get to implementing tasks and activities in our lives, as in we have goals and we have targets and all that stuff, another thing that we really need to pay attention to is how we define success as a process and as a result. We really need to use both, because most times success is defined by the end goal. In O level, success is attaining the O level certificate. It didn't matter what you got in S1, in S2, in S3, in S4. If you didn't get the certificate, you're a failure. And actually, education, if at the end of all the education, all that, you slept, you did not sleep, you read with your feet in water. I hear people did that. I never saw that in my life, but apparently people did that. But because in the end, you did not attain a degree. You're considered a failure. How about all the effort? And it's like you also call yourself a failure without paying attention to all that you did. So it's something that we need to learn to do. And I pray it's something that we begin to teach even the next generation, to use both the process and the result as success. I'm going to give how many examples? Let me do 2.
Okay.
Let me give, I like using football because that one is, I think we all know football. The thing that is so interesting for me about football is how they celebrate everything. And the success is by cheering. That's how you know that, yes, we are succeeding here. When a person gets a ball, as in ball possession, people start, they are cheering because he has just got a ball. When you defend, tackle someone and not steal the ball, get the ball from him, that is considered a success. When you are running towards the goal now, you're getting closer to the goal, that is considered a success. When you score a goal, it enters and hits the net, that is considered a success. And it doesn't matter who scored. It doesn't matter if you have 0, the other one has 3. If the person who has the team that has 0 now scores, it will be celebrated. If they score another goal, they not say, we've already done that. It's like every goal is celebrated. When you win the match, it is celebrated. When you earn a point, it is celebrated. When you win the championship, it is celebrated. Others celebrate because they are number 3. Others celebrate because now they've moved from one division to the other. Others celebrate because they have stayed. It's not about winning. They stayed in the division. So it's like everything, every step is celebrated in football. And I think it's something that we can actually begin to do in our lives. Yesterday, I was recording videos because I have decided to take on the identity of a content creator. So I was, that is the only way I'm going to create content. So I was recording, I planned out videos that I was going to record yesterday. There were about 4 of them. And I actually was able to record the video. It's like every time I finished, I found myself saying, good job, Jennifer. Good job. And I was like, what's wrong with you? But it's like, I'd finish a video and say, good job, and actually tick it. At the end of it, I actually gave myself a star and said, good job, Jennifer. As in, that was me, cheering myself just for recording. I hadn't even edited or cut. I hadn't even posted. But it's like I have considered that a success. The fact that I have recorded is actually a success. So when you're defining success, define it at many different levels. Don't just look at the end goal. I like the statement that Solomon said, as in when she's not feeling like she's succeeding. That is a way that we can actually think about success as something continuous, not I am successful, I am succeeding. Because then it's like a continuous thing that happens, even in small things as you're working towards that end goal. You can see that you are succeeding. You are taking steps. You are taking step 1, step 2, step 3 towards the goal that you actually want to attain, or towards that target that you have. So that's how redefining success has really, really helped me, first of all, in mindset, and also helps me in achievement of the goals that I have. Because I know that every small step, just recording a video, is a huge step towards me being a content creator. Yeah, I'm not just going to wait for the video to be online and I want it to have 1,000, I don't know what, views or something. No, that is a level of success. But even just pressing record and talking for 10 minutes, that's success also. Yeah. So anything you'd like to share?
Oh my gosh, a lot. Jesus. Let me summarize. Anyway,
Talk freely.
okay. So with the gift program that we did with Coach, I think the first time we did this, it felt very up there. What are your values? That are not corporate. The way society says corporate. You are I don't know the big words that we get when we are defining values of the company. Thank you. Teamwork. We are unity.
Integrity.
Pardon?
Integrity. Transparency.
Integrity. Wonderful. So the first time we did this exercise, it was so interesting, but along the way, because we kept doing the exercise a number of times when we were doing different goals. I think for me, finding out my personal values has helped me not just in my work and my music, but just life generally. Mm-hmm. Because these values are like they're like internal guiding systems that tell you you're in the right place. This is authentic to us. This is us. Then it can tell you, no. This is not us. We are not feeling this. And it has really helped me. So for me, just a number of that I picked out, the values was accomplishment. Okay, the biggest one was freedom. Each time we would do a session, freedom. And Coach said, Solomon, this freedom thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but one of them was really, and it's really me, like, that's that. Then there's accomplishment. Then there is happy. Then there is, they kept kind of evolving and Coach is better at this because they are top values. Then they're like, for me, okay, how I understand. Then there's part B values when you go further asking, okay, so, but with freedom, exactly, how do you feel about this? And what is the underlying thing about the freedom that you really feel, all those things. So for me, when I was defining that, it really helped me that I started defining success now with the smaller steps. Mm-hmm. I get bogged down with big picture, even though I'm very good at visualizing the big picture. Mm-hmm. I like big pictures. I'm going to get a grant. I'm going to have this big concert, in Serena one day. Like just the big things. I like sitting in that big picture. It's just that when I sit in that big picture, then I get overwhelmed by the big picture. And then I said, then I said, I haven't succeeded because I haven't got the grant. Then I kind of warp it, and then I kind of self-sabotage myself in that regard. But when we did these values, and then we started to define success in the smaller, to break down the big thing. Okay, now come back, Solomon, where you are in Uganda, East Africa, sitting in Makindye. Wonderful. What are you succeeding at now? You haven't reached the Grammy, but what are you succeeding at now? Mm-hmm. Can you start to define those little things? So along the way, because accomplishment is like, I need to have a sense of accomplishment. Like, we have accomplished something, or I have won something. Because I like accolades. I need to have like a win somewhere in this whole process. So I remember when I started to do my show Solomon Live, and we defined what the win was. What is the success here? The success wasn't, oh my God, I've got 1,000 people in the venue in the beginning of the year, 2023. It was, has the show happened? Wow. And friends, when the first show happened, I felt like you people, I've had my show has happened in the O2. My show has happened in Madison Square Garden. Like, my show has happened. People don't know, but my show has happened. Like, I don't know what it did for me. It's like as if I had the championship in football, but that's what it did for me. And the Solomon who moves when she feels accomplished. Like the minute I feel accomplished, I move. Like, okay, bring on another thing. bring on another thing, bring on, and so defining that helped me. The smaller thing. Did the show happen? Did you have your 2-hour performance? Everything. Yes, you have won. And even after that, I just felt like, oh my God, I have accomplished so much in my life. This is just awesome. And so I think defining that for me really helped. It was like a thing I kept looking at to do the shows consistently for a week, because I had never done that. And consistency was also part of the thing that I was tracking last year. And so that really helped me a lot. And even there were times in Solomon Live where people didn't come in a show where people didn't. Even in that, coach said was a win. Yeah, that was also another win that we're looking at. A show where people don't come and you still perform 1,000%. That was also a definition of a win. And so for me, when I look at that Solomon Live, yes, I dropped the ball on another side in terms of finances and whatever, but then there were other points of success for me, so I think right now it really helps me not to get too bogged down with, then I failed, then you get stuck in the failure, or I dropped the ball here, and you don't keep moving because you're thinking, oh my God, because I failed. And I think when you define the successes, and this is my success, it kind of gives, for me anyway, it gives me fuel to keep going. And also celebrating the success. Coach used to tell us, get one thing. So she mentioned earlier on that she gave herself a star. So for me at that time, it was eating a muffin. I like muffins.
Banana muffin.
Banana muffin. But I used to do that at least, and I still do that right now. Actually, I need to do it this week. I was reminded this week, actually, interestingly, I could hear your voice in my head, Coach. Solomon, don't forget to celebrate this week. And I've accomplished so much this week. Don't forget to celebrate even the success. Then the second thing was about funding. To define your success when you're sourcing funding. So one of the things that I defined for myself, and which also Coach shared on her own journey when she was, doing many things in her own journey in terms of tasks, was I had to call a number of people. So to define the success to the minute detail of, did you call 5 funders this day or this week, whatever you've put? Yes, success. It wasn't about, did you get the 5 million, the 10 million? It wasn't that. It was, did you call 5 funders? Or did you make the calls? Or did you, did you list down your funders today? Yes, you have one. To the minute detail. And those little ways of defining success for me, and I think to everyone maybe, is it kind of just fuels you, like, okay, you know what? I'm succeeding. Okay, this hasn't yet worked, but it will work. I have to just find out another way of working with it, So it just really, really helped me a lot. And I still use so many measures of success in the different things that I'm doing. Like yesterday, it's still talking about success. I have tasks I needed to do through the day, but I didn't wake up. I dropped the ball. I didn't wake up in time. Yeah, but I did succeed. I didn't wake up in time to go for what I wanted to do, which was go to my vocal coach in the morning. But also I need to learn that mornings are not. But anyway, so I dropped the ball there. So for a few seconds, these days, then I just swapped the thought process and I said, no, what else do you need to do? Oh, I need to go for this meeting. I need to meet this funder for money. Okay, so let's rework the day. So as when I went out and said reworking the day, as I kept moving through the day, my day actually was amazing. And the vocal coach I was supposed to meet in the morning, I met in the evening, and we had a session of vocals. We had a session to plan for an event. So it's like, I think for me, that thing has really helped me. And I think, Coach, for many, maybe creatives and entertainers and whatever, Sometimes when you see, for example, let me give them an example. We did a show called Love Nights years ago. And that show was a dope show. You should have been there.
Of 26,
Anyway,
of
if you
26
want there,
people,
don't worry. You will be there. Pardon?
of 26 people.
Of 30 people. Thank you. Even my coach still remembers the numbers. Me, I just knew there were a few people. Chai, we put on a show. Lights. What? It was such a beautiful show. And so sometimes we as audience people, even we as social media audience people, we look at shows for artists and things, and we critique and we say that show flopped. But then sometimes the artist or the team is looking at a different success standard. And for us at that time, the success standard was, first of all, the show happened. The show happened. The show happened, and it was a dope show. And at that time, I was learning how to create moments within shows. It wasn't even about that I'm doing a 20 songs. She didn't do her all. No, it was about creating moments. I think that show, we did 7 songs. We did few songs, but we took a whole 2 hours. We did very few songs, but it was about I had to learn how to create moments, which I still use until now. Creating moments. My set list, clients can come. Can you do a 2-hour show? And literally on the team, I said, okay, guys, we're just going to do 6 songs. And the 6 songs are enough. I don't have to put 20 songs. So I think just those things these days, I just look at what is the success in the task that you're defining, what is the success in the project, in the year, what is your success this year, and that has really helped me to keep moving. I think in the last 2 years, since I started the coaching program, we're in the 2 years, it's 2 years over a year. Anyway, I may count them as 2 years. I've had more success in my entertainment journey than the last maybe 6 years. I feel like I've grown as an artist. I've accomplished things I think I wouldn't accomplish if I don't know, but I feel like I'm succeeding. And yet to someone outside that may be thinking, Solomon, she's there but not there, but she's but I'm succeeding. Yeah, so that's it.
She's there. Just maybe 2 things that you talked about. I think one was defining success based on the small wins. And I think it's not just the small wins. At times it's defining it based on something that's in your control. Because saying that a show is successful because you had 1,000 people, that's not in your control. And using that, only that, as a measure of success. In the end, all the rehearsals, the outfit, the makeup, the performance, as in it's all useless if you had 800 people. But it's like what you do. That's why I said define many levels of success. Now, one of the things that we did was defining the show has happened. That was number 1. But another thing that I actually kept telling Solomon, which she mentioned in passing, is I want you to perform to an empty place. I want you to perform to no one. And I think it happened towards the end of her first phase. It was like in show number 6 or something, where for 1 hour or something, there was 0 people in the audience.
But then there's a show where no one came.
Okay, awesome. And I remember she came and she was feeling bogged down, and I was like, that for me, I'm happy. Because what I wanted her as the artist to learn how to do was how to perform from the inside out. As in to still give that performance. Because what many creatives or artists do is you're depending on the audience to give you energy. It's like you have a codependent relationship with the audience, and yet they have come to watch you. So when you learn how to perform in spite of what is happening in the audience, that is a huge, it's not just a success, it's like a win that is going to carry you for your lifetime. because you're performing from the inside out. Do you see how big of a win that is?
Yeah.
Because when you're performing to 1 million people who you can't see, because then it's like you can't see one person. At times the lights are so bright you can't see what's happening in the audience. Now, if you're a person who depends on seeing someone smiling and someone waving, the performance will just go. So for me, that was like a major, it was like a huge win. What was the other thing that you talked about? The other thing was that the Love Nights, the 26 people, I'll never forget that show. She had had a show before. Her first show had been sold out. And that time we're still thinking about success extrinsically based on what we see. It was sold out. She made money. She actually made money and gave it all away. But she made money. I'll still complain on her first show. It was a good show. It was a good show. Let me say that. Love Nights. I remember the people who came for the show. Some of the people who came for the Love Nights had come for her first show, while we had very few people. It's like Salome, the real Salome, showed up. I remember 2 people came up to me and said this was her first show.
Wow.
That's what they actually said. This was her first show. It's like they actually saw you for the first time. This was her first show. One of my people, who's actually like a sibling of mine, told me this was better than the other one. The one that was fully sold out. The one that had a profit. They were like, this was better. It was like she came out as herself. I remember one of the songs that she did, one of the people actually cried throughout. That's the song, because she really nailed the creating moments where it's like you feel like the song is for you. And that is not just a success that the media will see or the audience will see. It's a success that your audience, when you're there, Grammys, Madison, whatever it is that you want to do, that's what they will experience because you have developed that thing in you. So at times we need to define the success like we're defining success for a child who's learning how to walk. If you do not sit, you will not crawl. If you don't crawl, you will not stand. If you don't stand, you'll not cruise. If you don't cruise, you will not walk. But if when the child is crawling, you say it's a failure, what is that? Because unless the child develops those muscles and strengthens the legs, they cannot stand. Yeah, it's almost like, imagine if we sat at if you went for a football match, this is the best one. If you went for a football match, people scored goals, no one cheered. And you left because we are all waiting to see who wins the championship.
Yes, yeah.
That is all we are waiting for. You score, people look, as in you win, people look and they walk out because they want to make sure that when you win the championship, that is when we are all going to cheer. You see how boring that is? You see how we wouldn't enjoy football? But that's what we are doing to ourselves.
Yeah.
That's actually what we are doing to ourselves. We are waiting for the end result before we cheer. But no, let us define success. Boom, boom, boom. I showed up. I woke up.
Thank you.
Someone didn't wake up. As in, I woke up. Even when you felt bad, because at times you actually feel bad and you begin to pull yourself down and all, but you pulled yourself out of it. Yes. And this usually takes me 10 minutes to feel sorry for myself. Oh my God, it was 5 minutes this time. It's like when you begin to notice those small things, the small steps of growth, it's like life has more color.
Yes. Yes.
It has more color.
Yeah.
And you're not so much of a human doing, perform, tick, tick, tick. You become more of a being. You're noticing yourself. You're seeing what's happening in your body. You're seeing yourself grow and you're acknowledging what you're seeing. So success, it's just when we begin to define it more internally, from internal things, from intrinsic things, from things that are under our control. Yes. And to notice ourselves, to notice the small growth that we are having, then it's like it makes it easier for us to achieve more, to be more motivated. Yeah, and to keep going. But if your success is hard, your success is you're working 30 days, but it's going to come, the report is coming on the 30th day. It is as in you will give up. especially if you keep like hitting yourself against a wall, you will give up. But if when you hit yourself against a wall, like, okay, last time when I hit myself against that wall, I moaned for 1 hour. Today it was 45 minutes. That's growth. I am succeeding. Yeah? That's how you begin to push yourself. So I think we are going to close. My internet is going from 4G to H.
I was about to interject with something more. It's okay. Let us
No, talk, because we are left like with just a few minutes. What do you want to say before I close?
No, the other thing I think which you said helps you in the future, because singing to no one or one person in one of the shows in the beginning of the year, when I started Solomon Live again, there was a muscle that was built in me, a resilience, to a point that on when I did Solomon Live season 2, one of the shows, the audience had one person. But I gave, and the person who came for the show received the same production as other people who came for other shows, maybe when there were 20 people. They received the same production, which for me just showed me like, Solomon, I think you're really starting to grow this muscle even better, to have such a resilience and to still be in the moment and enjoy the show and still give your, because for me it was like I wasn't moved. It was like I'm in it. I mean, it was like, this show is so dope, people. Like, I don't know why this is such a dope show. It was so interesting. But then interestingly, it's like when you are, I don't know, I think this coach keeps saying this, like when you're authentic to yourself, it's like people outside start to notice. So I was sitting with a group of people this year, and what they were talking about different bands, whatever, not bands, but like artists and things, of how, they talked about one artist, a band. For them, they start on time. Whether there are 2 people, 1 person, they start on time. That is their rule. And they give 1,000%, whether there are 5 people, 10 people. And some people were teasing me and they said, yeah, those are people that we know. We know even Solomon. Solomon can just do the show even though there are 2 people or 5 people. And she gives 1,000. First, she's not even thinking numbers. And then someone else on the table kept saying, me, I'm always thinking the numbers, because for him is business. It's like, we have to wait for all the at least majority, to come through. For us, it makes business sense. It also looks good, that there are numbers in the venue. And so they were telling me like, Solomon, as we know, you always start, even though there are what, you always start. So I think for me, it's so interesting that when you start to, I think, kind of embody, people outside start to see that. But I think for me, that's really a big win for me, that even now, wherever I go, like even, okay, to the extent that sometimes even at church when they are saying, no, let's first wait for people, I said, but we're waiting for people. We start. Like, we can start. Like, it's like as if I've had that thing of, how armies, they have a leader. I am like that leader who says, we can go and fight. What are we waiting for exactly? We can go and give me the tools. Just give me tools. We can do this, And so I didn't know that that's the mentality that had to start to grow in me when coach was saying, even you can sing before no one. I didn't know that mentality, I would need it later on, because now I don't have a fear of, there's no one in the auditorium. No, like, I'm here. We are good. We can go.
I am someone.
I am someone. I am here. We go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I think it's amazing. For those of you who are watching, who will watch this, you do not know how big, how huge it is for this person who needed to have people to acknowledge and to validate. Maybe one day we'll do a talk on that.
One day, yeah.
For them to feel like they can validate their own performance.
Yeah.
And do it even if there is, because when you said there is no one, aren't you someone? Because because you ask, how can you say there is no one when you're there? I love that.
When you're there.
There's no one, but I am here. Yeah. So I think that for me, it's very huge. It's a huge thing. I acknowledge this
The
accomplishment.
milestone.
It's not even, I don't even think it's a milestone. It's huge. Anyway, I'm going to end this.
Yeah.
Something that I had from, as I told you, as I mentioned earlier, I've been listening to Miles Monroe. I think that guy is just God sent. He did his work and he finished. His teachings are alive, as in, I think even in 2000 years, they will still be valid. Yeah. He said, he was talking about the definition of success. And this is the definition of success that I want to leave with you, because it is the reason why I do the coaching work that I do. It's the reason why when I see someone who is trying to talk down on themselves, I'm like, please, 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 please stop. It's the reason why I talk to strangers and kind of fan their flame. He said, success is finding your purpose and fulfilling it. That's what success is.
Do you know I'm putting up my hands?
I don't know.
Okay. You don't know I'm putting up my hands?
I don't know. If you want to talk. If not, forever hold your peace.
No, I like, oh my God, everything in me is like, oh my God, it wasn't in my head.
Oh, wow.
Why I'm saying that and why I agree with that with every being of me.
Every being
for
of
a long time, every being of me. For a long time, success was marriage. Success was I have children. Success was so I remember coach asking me to do homework, and she said that was last year. And coming to the end of last year, this is a revelation. Okay, I say revelation, but a revelation, which is what Miles Monroe has said. And she told me to do this exercise, Solomon. So I did the exercise, but I think I didn't do it. I did like half, not so well, but I did it. And she was said, so Solomon, go and ask yourself, what if you don't get married? What if you don't have children? Will you not feel successful? So I wrote down all the things I was feeling. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then later on in the year, as I was ending the year, I don't know, I was just sitting on my bed reflecting. Well, and I don't know why this thought stuck. This thought just came up and it became my thing. And I said, you know what, God? My ultimate desire and my ultimate thing, which I am marking as I have actually succeeded, is have I fulfilled what you sent me to do on this earth? If I have done that, then I have succeeded. Every other thing is secondary. And I swear I've never thought like that in my life. Before it was marriage. So for me, it's like, and it freed me so much that I'm no longer searching out for marriage as oh my gosh, I'm lonely. Oh my gosh, I need to tick a box. Oh my gosh. And I know it will come. It will be beautiful, whatever. But it's like as if at the back of my head, it's like the thought is, but have we fulfilled our assignment? Have we fulfilled our assignment? Have we fulfilled ours? Have we? Have we? And oh my God, that's why like I just said, oh my God, it wasn't in my head. It wasn't in my head. Sorry, I've interrupted, but thank you for sharing.
And I think it was a good share. For me, this is some of the stuff that freed me from when I sat down and asked myself that question. Because for me, the marriage thing came up when my sisters had finished the work of taking care of being the assistant parent. And I was like, so the next thing. But I was like, but why is that the next thing? And then I realized that purpose, for me, purpose is the most important thing. That's why with people, I'm always like, what is your purpose? That's what I'm always like trying to dig it out. If someone mentions something and it's like when they are mentioning their purpose. I was talking to a friend of mine, one of my dearest, closest friends, who was sharing about something that has come up for him that he feels like he needs to do. And as he was sharing it, I felt within me like I was just jumping internally. I had never felt that sensation. And I was like, what is going on? It's like, because they were sharing something that was purpose. I even told them in the end, do you realize how big this thing is? that you're talking about, that you need to do, that you're giving all these reasons why you can't do it, because it's like inside me, I was just bubbling. It was like bubbles that like bubbles that are jumping, not even bloop, bloop, it's like boop, 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 boop. That's what was happening. That's what was happening. So it's like when someone is operating in alignment, it's like I almost feel it. Solomon knows this. When she sends me a song or she does something and I'm like, you are not in it. You held yourself back. It's like I can almost feel that you are not full feeling. You're half feeling or you're quarter feeling. So for me, purpose is really, really important. So I think that's what I want to end with, and I would challenge all of us. Whether you're the ones who thought before that having kids is success, being married is success, being married or whichever it is that you choose, having a good job is successful, having a lot of money, building a house, being educated. But in the end, when you sit down and review your life, you're feeling unfulfilled. You're actually feeling empty. I would throw back two things. One, I would throw back the question that Solomon has asked, am I doing what I was sent here to do? Because all of us came here. Solomon, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Because all of us came here to do something. And it's really necessary for us to discover what that purpose is. Because if you do not discover what that purpose is, you're robbing us of what it was you came here to do. You are robbing us of that. So take time to actually find that out. And it's usually in the things that you do naturally. It's not that deep. It's in the things that you love to do. It's in the things that you do naturally. It's in the things that everyone is telling you, you're so good at this. As in, you don't even have to think twice. It just happens. It's like you're equipped. Everything about you equips you to fulfill your purpose. And the last thing is that definition of Miles Monroe. Success is finding your purpose and fulfilling it. So, thank you so much, Solomon, for giving me your time, and thank you for those of you who are going to listen to the end. Thank you so much for being here. Do share what came up for you, inbox, comment, whatever it is. I would like to hear from you. What stood out? What revelation did you get? What thing can you also share so that we can learn from each other? Thank you so much for your time. Bye. So let me say bye.
Oh, bye.